Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. We're about to get ready for one of the biggest market cycles that we have seen since all the way back in 2017. Many of you guys weren't around to experience the entirety of that 2017 bull run when Bitcoin broke out and went from about $200 all the way to $20,000. But as far as what we saw with altcoins during that cycle, it produced some of the most life-changing wealth and opportunities that we had ever seen. I believe that we're getting ready for another one of those type of bull runs, and I'm going to break down all of the charts to explain exactly how and what to do to position yourself moving forward from here. If you're new and just find this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. With that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so as we get into things, I figured the best way to start this video off would be to talk about a chart that I made a couple months back, and I've been updating you guys with this because in my opinion this is where we're at in the overall cycle, and I'm going to explain how it all kind of factors in here. Now many of you guys that weren't around for the 2016-2017 bull run, you're not going to have a full understanding of how the last cycle went down. And if you weren't around for that last cycle, in my opinion, it might catch you off guard as we're going into this next one, because I don't think a lot of people are expecting what I believe is going to be playing out. Now, we're going to go through here and talk about our first impulse that we ever saw as far as the altcoins, and we're going to compare it to where we're at today. Now, here's the thing, guys. This was our very first cycle, and this is the altcoin total market cap. So this is the very beginning of the entirety of altcoin price history. And this is really where we began in 2013. 2013 was our first cycle, this is our first impulse, and this is really where we start creating this pattern. Now, this is pretty much the same thing that we're doing right over here. We have the top of our cycle, we make these first lower highs and lower lows, indicated here. The same thing happened in 2017, top of our cycle, lower lows, lower highs, and then we make our first big sell-off into our bear market. We consolidate here as indicated by this yellow box. Same thing happened in 2017, and that's what led us to this same sort of bottom type pattern, this accumulation pattern and range that we built. It was almost the exact same thing. Out of the yellow box, we make one more final low, and we make this corrective move pretty far back up near the all-time highs. This is roughly the same thing that played out here inside of 2017. We made that final capitulation. We made that rally back up. It went not nearly as high as the one in 2015, but it was still the same sort of consolidation. Eventually, we led back down for one more kind of capitulation. This would have led us to that COVID low here in about March of 2020. Now, if we're looking at what happened in this led us into that 2017 bull run. We saw the altcoins take off, make our first all-time high, a new all-time high, I should say. And then that's what led us into price discovery. If you guys weren't around here, this 2016-2017 altcoin was one of the most profitable and life-changing events that I had ever seen, but really the world had ever seen. Had you have gotten in early to this, you would have been able to get into a number of different altcoins that made multi-hundred X's. In fact, if you would have got in at the range lows around this point here, which, you know, you had the better part of 2 years to get in, if you would have gotten at the range lows, you would have been able to make at least 100x on pretty much any altcoin. In fact, even some of the lower returning altcoins did a couple 100x. Had you have gotten into Ethereum, had you have gotten to some of those other altcoins like New Economy Movement, you know, even some of them that maybe you guys haven't even heard of, like BitShares, for example, that didn't do quite as good but still did well, you would have made 1,000x or at least multi-100x returns, right? And that was life, and that was what life was like back in 2017. And so when we're comparing to what we just saw in our last cycle, it's not nearly the same thing, right? This was our last cycle. And what we're looking at and what I want you guys to pay attention for is how our last cycle compares and what I'm trying to draw as far as a conclusion goes. What I believe happened in our last cycle was nothing close to this type of a move that we saw, obviously. And we can see that as indicated by this chart. This was the new all-time highs that we made in our last cycle. This was the new all-time highs that we made in the 2017 cycle. That's not even close to the same thing. And so anybody that says that our last cycle was comparable to that 2017 altcoin cycle was not around for that cycle, and that's just simple truth. Or they just weren't knowing what was going on the entire time, because it's obvious that it wasn't even close. And that's why I believe where we're at and what our entire last cycle was pretty much the same as our first leg up in that 2016 move. This was 2016 until the very end in the beginning of 2017 right here. This was our first leg up out of our accumulation. In my opinion, because there's so much more money inside of the market than there ever used to be, it takes more time to move that same amount of money. Well, I shouldn't say that same amount of money, because there's way more multi-billions of dollars in market cap. I should say, to create these same large impulses like we saw in 2017, it takes way more time to do it. So in the same time that it took about a year, maybe a year and a half tops, to create this move, it took 4 years to make, 3 or 4 years to make this type of a move here. And so I believe that we're creating this same sort of fractal, where what we're getting ready for is another one of these big expansive moves into price discovery. And that's what our entire last cycle was. It was the first leg up inside of that move. And I'm going to get into a number of different altcoin charts to share with you guys how they reflect exactly that same sentiment from that 2017 cycle, and how it's also reflective in what we're seeing today. So the first example on today's list is going to be XMR, or Monero. So this is going to be the altcoin market cap chart. So this is Monero against its market cap. So it's going to show you guys the volume of how much money is actually coming into these markets. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, including myself, ragged on and on about the lackluster performance many of these altcoins had. How many of them didn't make new all-time highs like XRP. How many of them maybe just barely made a new all-time high like Monero or like Litecoin, some of these other ones. And it really caught a lot of people off guard, because I think a lot of people, especially people that were going off of just having experienced that 2016-2017 bull run, they were expecting another one of these. And instead, they got a retest of the all-time highs and then another 75% correction, right? So it caught a lot of people off guard, including myself. But with that being said, it makes so much sense that if we're actually following another type of move like this, where we're just in our first leg up into this move, leading up to another brand new 2017-like impulse, then it would make sense that the altcoins from that last cycle are also doing the same things. And that's exactly what we're at today. Keep in mind, guys, that one of my favorite things to look at is always going to be Elliott waves. I like to watch out for Elliott waves because it helps me map out where we are in a cycle. Now, keep in mind, guys, that where the entire market cap is right now, as far as our entire last cycle, we're only in a big picture wave 1. And if we compare it to where we're at to here, sorry for this little blip here, we can see that this entire first leg was our 1 wave. And if we draw our Elliott waves, this was wave 1, this was wave 3, this was wave 5, right? And that was our entire 2017 bull run. So where we're at today is just our 1 wave impulse. This entire last cycle was just wave 1, and we're at wave 2, and we're getting ready for this big wave 3 and wave 5. Right? I can't tell you exactly how high it's going to go, so I'm just going to draw it up like this. At the end of the day, what we're looking at when we're looking at this chart is this is our wave 1, and this is our wave 3, 4, and 5. This was our big 2017 alt cycle, when we had this big expansive wave 3, 4, and 5. That was something we didn't really see in our last cycle. And that's kind of indicated by not only our total altcoin market cap, how in that 2016 move, we barely broke all-time highs, and then we consolidated around those all-time highs for about a year. That's what led to that big move into price discovery. I believe that with the amount of money circulating inside of our market cap today, to create these same expansive type moves, it takes more time to do it. And so where we're at is no different than this 2016 move. The fact is, it just took more time to create it. And so now our next cycle is us getting ready for this same wave 3 and wave 4 and wave 5 type expanse. And so that's where I believe that we're at. And the altcoins from that last cycle are ultimately showing us that. We can see that this was our first cycle for XMR. This was the all-time highs. Technically, if you counted this wick, it would be all the way up here. I don't count that wick. This is the all-time highs. This was our bear market. Once our bear market bottomed, this was our first impulse, our wave 1 into our new cycle. Keep in mind that this wave 1 comes all the way back up to retest those previous all-time highs. And then we consolidated here for about a year, right? About 8 months to a year. And then we start that big expansive move into new all-time highs. That's almost the exact same thing that we created in our last cycle. We made this run back up after our bear market. We made this run back up to our all-time highs, and now we're just kind of consolidating sideways back down. This one was a little bit more down. We've probably had about a 75 to 80% correction here, whereas this one held support a little bit higher. Nonetheless, it's still the same one wave type of move. Look at all of the new volume that came in here. And also the fact is we went from about 500 mil all the way back up here to about 10 billion in market cap. So these are big moves that are happening, and what's catching people off guard is the fact that what they were expecting to happen was just another big 2017 bull run. That didn't happen, and that would make sense because if we're looking at Elliott wave theory, this first impulse is called the smart money, right? When we're looking at a market cycle, smart money comes in here and they buy with the very low point, right? When everybody else is experiencing anger. You know, who shorted the market? Why did the government allow this to happen? My retirement money is lost. How can I pay for all this new stuff? I'm an idiot. As everybody in the retail market is losing their money, they're capitulating, they're taking all of these massive losses from buying the top, the smart money's coming in here and buying these dips. And when we're comparing it to Elliott waves, smart money is buying the impulse. Look right here. This is a bear market. This is a massive bear market accumulation. This is the low. This is our first impulse. Most people at the first impulse, they're pretty much ignoring it. They're thinking to themselves that this is a dead coin. It's never going to happen. There never is going to be another bull run again. It's never going to happen. And they're really bearish on everything. That's when smart money creates this first impulse. And then it's in wave 3 that retail really drives up the value. Same with going into wave 5. This is all retail driven. Smart money's taking profits in wave 5 and they're accumulating it in wave 1. When we're looking at the Wall Street cheat sheet, smart money is taking profits at the end of this impulse, which would be same as wave 5, and they're accumulating down here at the bottom, and that would be the same as this one wave impulse right down in here, right? And so when we're looking at all of these old altcoin charts, they're creating these exact same patterns of their original 2016 and even prior bear markets. They're creating these exact same type of patterns. The difference is it's taking more time to get that type of a move. This is why I really want you guys to pay attention to the fact that what our next move coming is going to be another huge expansive impulse into new all-time highs. And there's going to be people that doubt me. There's going to be people that say, oh no, XMR's dead forever. All these cryptos are not ever going to have a new cycle. And these are going to be the people that miss out because it's the same stuff that happens each and every cycle. I believe that people are underestimating the power of crypto, the amount of money that was printed in the last few years. All of these combination of factors are going to create an expansive move coming. And so I wouldn't be so bearish, and I wouldn't be so quick to basically count off a lot of these alts. And I'm going to share with you guys some examples here. This is the altcoin total market cap chart of XRP, and this is dating all the way back at 2013. This was the first cycle that XRP ever saw, and we're going to look at the similarities that we're seeing today. Now, keep in mind, guys, the XRP never made a new all-time high, but it kind of did the same sort of patterns that it created in that 2015 move. This is taking us way back. You guys were definitely not around for here, and if you were around from here, most of you guys probably didn't know what was going on enough to really even know how to look at these type of patterns, right? Now, what we saw here, this was our first bear market for XRP. This was when Bitcoin topped at $1,200 in that 2013 cycle. We corrected, and then XRP made its first impulse. This is the beginning of its new bull trend. We see impulse for one wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this entire move was wave 1 and wave 2, right? So this actually made a new all-time high, but it really didn't matter. That led us to a wave 3, and it led us to a wave 5. And that was our first impulse that XRP ever saw. This is the reason why anybody that's interested in XRP that watches this channel, this cycle is the reason why you're interested. Because I guarantee nobody got in all the way back down in here. This 2017 altcoin was one of the best performing assets of that last cycle. In fact, it was the best performing asset of 2017 as far as altcoins goes. Now, this is what leads us into where we're at today. In my opinion, our entire last cycle that we saw when XRP rallied from about 14 cents all the way to about $2 or $3 and corrected, this is the exact same move as this move right here. The difference is our first move in 2014 made a new all-time high, and this one didn't. It's not really a difference aside from the fact that I believe this move would have been bigger had the XRP lawsuit not been in effect. I don't believe this lawsuit holds any tangibility. I believe it's going to follow through as far as XRP and Ripple are going to win. And so I think that we're going to have a cycle from XRP at some point. And it's going to be the same as going into this same 2017 type move. Now, I'm not going to try and predict where it's going to go, whether that's $10, whether that's $20. I'm not going to predict it. But if the lawsuit isn't lingering over XRP and Ripple, I believe that XRP can have a significant type of bull run. Dogecoin had a huge move in its last bull market, and I think that if Dogecoin can do it, there's no sense in why XRP and Ripple can't. XRP is a great crypto that has so much adoption it would blow your mind. So while I may restructure my portfolio personally, it doesn't write off the potential of XRP and how much I believe that this thing is going to get widely adopted, because it already is. It's just that people don't realize it or are too ignorant to accept it. I believe that we're going to get another one of these big 2017 type of rallies, and people are writing off and underestimating it. Look at all of this last impulse compared to 2017. It would have been the same thing. If you would have been watching that last cycle for XRP, a lot of people would have been sitting here saying, well, it's dead. It's never going to come back around. This thing's over. It's never going to have a new cycle, just because it barely broke previous all-time highs and then it went sideways and down for about 2 years, right? You got to think that people were thinking that exact same thing all the way back then and there. I believe the same thing's happening now because I can see it today. Now, one thing I wanted to cover is actually XLM and Stellar. Stellar Lumens is actually the biggest competitor of XRP because of the fact one of the creators of XRP and Ripple left to go create Stellar Lumens. So this is pretty much a direct competitor with Stellar Lumens, and they follow each other very closely in price. What I find is so interesting is these ones have bear markets that are syncing up very similar. Now, this was its 2017 bull run. This was wave 1, this was wave 3, this was wave 5. Massive impulses throughout here. I believe our entire last cycle for Stellar Lumens was just the very beginning of our wave 3, right? This is wave 1, this is wave 3, and this was wave 5. And then our bear market right here. Notice how long our bear market was, from high to low. Almost exactly 1 year. Notice how long this bear market is from high to the low that we've had so far. Keep in mind that we're not out of the clear. We could have one more final capitulation and it would invalidate that. But keep in mind that it would actually just elongate it significantly, and it would pretty much show that altcoins don't really follow 4-year cycles, which, keep in mind, is totally plausible. We still have to wait. However, if we do end up following something similar to these last cycles, which it looks like so far, even the price action looks very similar. What we're seeing in comparison to each of these. But if we keep continuing to see this, then we're pretty much just going to have another one of these big type of altcoin runs. And when I look at the altcoin total market cap from our last cycle and compare it to where we're at today, it looks identical. The price action looks the same. The difference is the length of time that it takes. It would make sense that the more money going into a market, the lengthier the amount of time that it takes. It doesn't invalidate the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle still followed this trend, and we can prove that by indicating the lows and the low points here and the highs. What I'm saying is it's just that the moves that happened, it took more time to create those. In the time that it took 1 year to basically create this entire impulse, it's going to take Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto markets, multi-years to do that. It's going to take way more, probably at least double the length of time of that 2017 altcoin run. So while the same moves are going to happen, the length of time that it's going to take to happen and create the move is overall going to increase. And I can see that as indicated by all of these charts. It's no different here as it is here, right? It's the only difference is these previous cycles never had a prior bear market, but all of the ones that did end up just creating roughly the same type of pattern. And we can look at those altcoins that have been around since that 2013 cycle, have been around since the entirety of altcoin history, that have actually performed well and continue to see adoption. We can look at those as an indication of what could potentially happen. And because these are pretty much creating all of these same old type of patterns, I'm definitely not bearish on these, and I believe that we're still going to prepare for another one of these expansive type of moves. Everybody's writing them off. Everybody's going to think that these are dead, and that's exactly the same type of sentiment that happens at the very beginning of a new impulse. This is disbelief. This is a sucker's rally. Our first impulse and our first higher high, same sort of thing with Elliott wave theory. Our first impulse, our first higher high, a lot of people are writing them off. A lot of people are thinking that they're not really going to do anything. Oh, Stellar Lumens really didn't make a big impulse. That's a dead coin. It's just going to fractal into oblivion of nothing. I believe these people are going to be proven wrong, and we're going to see that. Now, there's some altcoins that hold up much better. Binance Coin is a prime example. This one's created a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, and our last cycle was a big wave 3 and wave 4. This one was one of the better performing altcoins of that last cycle. Nonetheless, it's actually holding support better as well. Keep in mind, we don't have confirmation yet of what's going to happen, but if this thing breaks out of this type of pattern here, this bull flag, if we can break out and ultimately cement the low of this bear market being in my opinion, that shows a lot of strength as far as this one never really making a new low. But keep in mind, the fact of the matter is, if we're analyzing how long this has been, about a year worth of consolidation. This is very similar to prior cycles. There are certain cycles like Binance Coin though that are syncing up a little bit differently. This one performed well in the last cycle. This one broke out, made new all-time highs when many of the other altcoins didn't do that. And so there's going to be outliers. There's going to be some altcoins that are more undervalued, but I believe that this next cycle coming is going to be one that sees a lot of adoption and a lot of retail money coming in. And so I believe that we should prepare for a big move like this, even if our entire next cycle only does this move, and then it takes another 4-year cycle or something to create it before we get another wave 5. Nonetheless, we're still going to get a big impulse into new all-time highs. And so that's what the wave count shows. That's what the sentiment shows, in my opinion. And I wanted to give you guys this video as a way to pretty much give you guys some thoughts and perspectives that maybe a lot of you weren't considering. I believe a lot of people are writing off many of these old altcoins, and it makes sense that the sentiment would also be reflective of us being in a one-wave accumulation, because that's generally when people write off the potential of anything as a whole. So if you guys found value in this, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description. If you guys would also like to sign up for my video course, my signals, follow all my trades that I'm taking, which of these altcoins am I going to be buying early on, heading into this next major bull run. If you guys want to know, you guys can join for lifetime access on my website. Thank you guys so much for the support. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.